Let our hearts not be hardened. To those living on the margins, there is room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. Too long we have wandered, burdened and undone, but there is room at the table for everyone. Let us sing the new world in. This is how it all begins. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there is room at the table for everyone. Here and now we can be the beloved community. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all. No gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. Let our hearts not be hardened. To those living on the margins, there is room at the table for everyone. This is how we gather in. For everyone. Everyone.
Good morning, Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome everyone to our gathering, this Sacred Sunday service on July 4th, 2021. If you're new to our virtual program this morning, I'm Ruth Hall, President of the Board of Trustees and producer for our virtual programs. Please note that we are recording this service and we will post it on our social media. We'll especially post it on our website at www.saccsl.org, Facebook, and YouTube. And speaking of our website, please check us out because we have everything on there besides our Sunday videos. We have information about classes and events, services, opportunities to volunteer, and of course, to donate to our center. Please check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and Meetup is a great tool too, because there you can sign up for events and classes and get emails and information sent to you and reminders as well. So please make use of our website and Meetup and Facebook. If you haven't heard the exciting news, those of you who are excited and interested in coming to in-person services again, we are opening our center on August 1st at the Main Street location. This is a really exciting time. We're also going to be virtual and live streaming, so you have choices. I'd like to shout out a great thank you to our volunteers who helped last Friday to move a few chairs and tables and our sound system. Thank you, Doug, Delane, Corey, Connie, and Reverend Sharon for coming and helping with that. On August 1st, we're gonna have a blessing at 10 o'clock, blessing our building and our center, and the service will start at 10:30 as usual, in person and on Zoom. So mark your calendars. It's an exciting time. And now I'm going to turn it over to our lovely practitioner, Linda Connolly, who's going to do our land acknowledgement this morning. Linda?
Hi, thank you, Ruth. And in honor of welcoming everyone to the table, I think it is so full of gratitude that we take this time to acknowledge the people on whose land we live. And so we acknowledge the indigenous people of this land who have lived here since time immemorial. Sacramento is the ancestral tribal land of the Nisenan people. We also honor the Southern Maidu people to the north, the Valley and Plains of Miwok people to the south of the American River, and the Patwin Windham people to the west of the Sacramento River. And being it's July, we have our new books for the month of July. So our Timeless Wisdom is Can We Talk to God by Ernest Holmes, great book. And our Evolutionary Vision book is, of course, Spiritual Liberation by Michael Bernard Beckwith, which I'm sure is a good book also.
Good morning, good morning. I am Reverend Patricia VanWoerkom. I am your associate minister, and I get to be with you this morning because Sharon's off for her well-deserved vacation. So let's turn off the mute, turn on our voices, and say good morning to each other. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy July. Happy 4th of July.
Hi, Doug.
Bye.
Margie, I love your, what are they called? Dingle bobbers? Those things called? Yay.
There's a name for those?
I think they're called dingle bobbers.
There's a name for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Steph. Yeah.
Yeah, American flag. Yeah.
Inspired by Margie.
Oh.
So welcome all. It is now, let's mute back up. It is my pleasure to introduce our practitioner of the day, who is in the final stages of completing her ministerial program, and will soon, I hope, come on staff with us. But for right now, she is our lead practitioner and has a consciousness that absolutely puts her in the right place at the right time. So please welcome Debbie Putnam, religious science practitioner.
Thank you. Feel this space around you as we settle in this morning to what is right for us, to the support of all that is. There is one power, one infinite presence. The infinite goodness of the universe is all that is ever happening right here and right now. It is all that is ever happening. It has created all things in its own likeness. And that is the only truth And that is the truth of me, that I am one with this. It is the truth of each and every one of us that we are one with this infinite creator creating. And today we are present with it as we open our hearts and minds, as our minds and hearts are open to that which is ours to learn, to grow, and to do, to be receivers and givers in this dance of the service this morning. Reverend Patricia is fully filled and inspired by the infinite presence that speaks through her today. And this is true for each and every person who is involved in this service, each and every person who is participating, supporting, all of the people who helped move, everyone who is part of the beautiful picture of this service is now uplifted, part of the infinite good, and speaking words of truth and being actions of truth and living lives of truth, of dignity, of joy, and of compassion. In this knowing, I give thanks, and so it is. And now for our readings. Unity is the song of life. It is the grand theme underlying the rich variations that exist throughout the cosmos. Whatever we see, whatever we experience, is only a manifestation of this eternal oneness. Aware of economic, political, and social realities around the world, as well as our interrelationship with the ecosystem, we are determined to behave responsibly as consumers and as citizens. Thich Nhat Hanh. When I becomes we, even illness becomes wellness. Malcolm X. There is no alternative to the insistence that we cannot escape from personal responsibility for the social order in which we live. This means that there must be participation in the social process, and that quite specifically. Howard Thurman. And now for our music.
Hi, my name is Jan Garrett.
I'm J.D. Martin. Shine on.
When in the course of human kindness it becomes clear the time has come to willingly set aside our blindness and see the world as one. Nobody here has yet forgotten all of the joys we've ever known, following freely what we feel, finding our way home. Shine on, shine on, steady on, steady on. We the people come together, bringing the best of who we are. While we remember tough and tender, leading with our hearts. The future is looking back with love, encouraging every step we take, guiding us through the darkest times and blessing us on our way. Shine on, shine on. Steady on, steady on, shine on, shine on, steady on. protecting what is gentle, protecting what is wild, connecting what is living in every woman, man, and child. A joyful revelation, the hope comes shining through in the silver singing river and in the rising of the moon. Shine on, shine on, steady on, steady on. Where are the ones we've lost forever, leaving a longing in our soul, gathering all this love together, setting our sights for home. Every road we've ever traveled, all of the wonders near and far, all of these gifts come round again and bring us to where we are. Shine on, shine on, steady on, steady on, shine on, shine on, steady on, steady on. When in the course of human kindness it becomes clear the time has come.
Shine on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Before I share my poem this morning, I would like to share with you something I heard a little while ago. I may have jumped the gun. Sorry, Debbie. Nope. Okay. Before I share my poem this morning, we'll try this again. I'd like to share with you something I heard a little while ago for a couple reasons. One is I think it's something that's useful to remember as we move through these still somewhat chaotic and crazy times. And two, I find it's a great lead-in for my poem this morning. This is written by the Spanish poet Antonio Machado. And he said, "One has to keep the eyes well open in order to see things as they are, and still more open to see things as other than they are. And one has to open the eyes even more widely in order to see things as better than they are." This is called When Old Beliefs Fall. When I hear the world's loud voice of hate calling out my name, but choose instead to listen to that still small voice within, then I know that old beliefs can fall. When I witness so much that is horrible in the world around me, yet still refuse to close my heart to suffering and to pain, then I have proof that old beliefs can fall. During those times when I still think it's shameful to believe in my own redemption and that anger will always hold hands with fear, that's when I must remember that old beliefs must fall. As I begin to grasp that the highest idea I can ever have for myself must first pass through the lowest idea I have of you, then I am learning why old beliefs must fall. as I begin to grasp that the highest idea I can ever have for myself must first pass through the lowest idea I have of you. Then I am learning why old beliefs must fall. Douglas, remember how often you believed that you would never get it right. Yet here you are, playing your drum, saying out loud for stranger and friend alike, it's never too late to discover that old beliefs can fall. Let's all agree to hold more beliefs that lead us deeper into eternity, because the more time we spend immersing ourselves in heaven, the more we know that old beliefs can fall. Thank you.
Good morning, good morning. It's so wonderful to have Doug back, isn't it? And Ruth, you could not have picked better music. Shine on. That's what we are. That's what we do today. Periodically, we have a confluence where July 4th lands on a Sunday, as it does today. Interestingly enough, it also happened on our bicentennial in 1976. The last time it happened was 10 years ago, so it really is periodically that this happens. Now, today's talk is titled Pulled by Vision, We Hold These Truths, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems only right and proper and auspicious that we take at least a brief look at the organizing documents, the vision and mission, so to speak, of both the US and CSL. So first, let me define terms. In organizational speak, a vision statement describes an organization's desired future, its ideal. And a mission statement defines how it gets there, the implementation of the vision. Now, we're all pretty familiar with the US government and its organizing documents. For us, the vision is embedded in the Declaration of Independence signed in 1776 and for which we are celebrating today. And the mission is the Constitution. So let me read you a slightly amended version of what we're most familiar with when we consider and what we consider to be the most important paragraph of our US vision statement. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among people, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, the right of the people to institute government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem the most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now, the implementation of that grand statement, our vision, is our Constitution, which took 11 years to write. I hadn't quite realized that. The Constitution didn't go in until 1787, and it took 2 years after that to ratify it. And the only reason it was ratified was the government promised the states that they would amend it. So 2 years later, they did by producing the Bill of Rights, which consists of 10 amendments, all of which are restrictive clauses to prevent abuses of power by the government. we definitely know that we came out of a revolutionary war convinced that we were not going to let a despot have any power over us. And those first 10 amendments make it very clear how we feel about that, what our vision is about the pursuit of happiness and liberty. Now, Sacramento CSL's relationship to the Centers for Spiritual Living is actually very similar to a state's relationship to the US government. Each center is pretty independent. We're kind of like our own state, a member state. And our own elected Board of Trustees governs our affairs, although we operate within CSL's vision and mission. Now, in CSL speak, vision is the answer to the question, what is God's highest idea of me, of the Centers for Spiritual Living, of a life event, fill in the blank. CSL's answer, our vision, our ideal future, is our global vision. And it's a whole page long and it's a whole bunch of statements, so I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to give you the short version of CSL's global vision is a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. Okay, not a bad vision. Our mission then is how we achieve our vision. Now, you remember that statement about a camel is a horse designed by a committee? Ugly as sin, but incredibly well adapted to its environment. Okay? CSL's mission, how it's going to implement its vision, is defined in a 27-page organizational design model, which we call the ODM. It includes our global vision statement, Ernest Holmes' Declaration of Principles. Reverend Sharon generally reads one of our principles every Sunday. It's all those statements that begin, we believe. It's our shared values, which we spent an entire year looking at those values and created a huge vinyl poster, which we hung in the sanctuary so we could keep it in front of us that these were our shared values. The ODM also includes a set of bylaws, a policy procedure manual, a statement of intentions, and much more. 27 pages, probably more than you will ever want to know. But if you want a copy of any documents, let me know. I can get them to you. Okay. Vision's important. It's always important to know what we stand for, what's important to us, what our ideal is. Remember, a vision is about our future. There is always a gap between where we are in our daily life and our ideal future, because we grow into our future. And the assumption is that we never fully realize our vision, because as we grow individually, our vision grows and becomes even bigger or more clarified, more real. We learn to implement it in a way that makes more sense as our awareness grows. Now, one example of this from the US Constitution is the 14th Amendment to the United States. It took 90 years, not until after the Civil War, that the US finally made good on the Declaration of Independence's promise of individual liberty, equality, and pursuit of happiness, free of unnecessary government interference, including from state governments. That was in 1866. It took a civil war to grow us to the point that we were able to implement this part of our vision. So growing into our vision is not always a comfortable process. As a country, We seem to be examining our vision again and experiencing growing pains. Who are we the people? Are we created equal? Do we all have unalienable rights? What is the gap between our ideal, our vision, and what we have been able to realize? As I said in the beginning, this year, the 4th of July lands on a Sunday. So it seems appropriate that we talk about the intersection of our national political vision and our personal spiritual vision. Do you have a vision for your life? We spent the entire month of March exploring visioning, using the process of answering the question, what is God's highest idea for my life? So as to create a personal vision of our own future. We as a center, we hold visioning times where we come together and vision for ourselves or vision for the center. There's even a 4-week class that we can teach about visioning. We really believe visioning is important. From my perspective, my vision for my life greatly depends on my understanding and belief about God, which makes sense because the premise I work from is, what is God's idea? What is God's highest idea of my life? Now, I'm part of the Saturday morning book study, which is looking at Richard Rohr's book, which has a portion that's his understanding of Genesis, or how the world came into being. And he describes it as an incarnation whereby God, or love, became the world. And so we live in a God-soaked world, a love-soaked world. Feel that for a moment. How different is this understanding of God and life than the Old Testament concept of God as the one who sets the rules and then judges and punishes us? How does this new understanding of God and life influence how I think about myself? You all know me and my love of developmental models. I love models, and I believe in a developmental approach to almost everything. CSL ministers Marcia Sutton and Lloyd Strom created what they call the 4 kingdoms of consciousness. And I believe there's a slide that's going to pop up and kind of give you a quick visual. And I'm not going to go into major detail because, again, we teach a whole class on this. But basically, it's a developmental process of consciousness or awareness. And it starts in the bottom left corner. And the first kingdom, they called it, is where everything is done to me. It's a very passive state. It's a very reactive place. The second kingdom is when I am aware of my personal power and I realize that I can do things. So everything is done by me. Switch down to the bottom right. The third kingdom is one of co-creation. Therefore, everything is done with me, through me. And you hear that statement a lot in Science of Mind, about God working through me. And the fourth kingdom, which is the ideal, is that life happens as me. Now, kingdom 1, where everything happens to me, is generally considered to be a victim consciousness, where we're given our power to whomever we believe is doing something to us. But if I live in a love-soaked, God-soaked universe, what then? Am I able to shift to a perspective that everything happens to me? Is love working for my good and for the good of all those around me? It's just a different way of looking at that way of approaching the world. The kingdom of solo creation, where everything is done by me. Again, if I live in a love or God-soaked universe where every cell, every molecule is God's particle, it is all a particle of God. How can I ever be alone? How can I ever be doing anything solo? Third kingdom of co-creation. What does an active partnership with love mean? How does it change my perspective of how I meet life's challenges? Because there's going to be challenges. Things will be thrown at us. Diagnosis, death, natural phenomena. It happens. Life happens. But if I'm in an active partnership with love, then how do I let that move through me to meet my life's challenge? Now, the fourth kingdom is an absolute ideal future that is, in some sense, the unreachable star. Those operating at this level have the understanding of the saints and the avatars, Buddha, Jesus, the Dalai Lama, and probably on their best days, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and things like that. Ruth, you can go ahead and take the slide down. Now to circle back, no, before I leave that, the four kingdoms are levels of consciousness. They're levels of perception, levels of how we look at the world. They are sequential in that we all start from that place of no power, things are done to us. I think everyone who finds science of mind has reached the point of the second kingdom of we have power to take control of our lives and to make and do something with them. We're not just passive recipients. Our working goal, I think why we go to classes so much, is we really want that third level of co-creation consciousness. But it's not that we leave one set of perspectives and approach to life, one kingdom. It's just an easy short-term language to use. We don't move from one kingdom to the other and never go back. We're always fluidly moving between at least the first three kingdoms. Okay, I'm sure I'm not the only one who at some point sits and complains about how somebody has done something to piss me off and to ruin my day, whether it be the person in the grocery line who can't seem to pick anything that actually has a price tag attached to it that's correct. And there's price check after price check. And yeah, you know, or going through traffic. I mean, these are the everyday things that kind of have no importance, but somehow seem to rattle all of us, rattle me, and put me back into other states of consciousness. Okay. So to circle back and connect the ideas I've been presenting this morning, we know that the vision and mission of both the US and CSL, we know what they are because we have the organizing documents, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution, and the Global Vision, and the ODM, okay? We don't generally have anything written down about our vision, but it might be a good thing to think about so we can check back. Why would we want to check back? because there's always a gap between our vision or ideal and our reality, between what we know collectively and individually and what we are actually able to do. And we live in this gap. That's where we live. And there are times like now that we become aware of the size of the gap. And at a political level, at a country level, it is that gap that is creating social unrest. We know we can do better. And yet we haven't figured out a way to do it yet. At an individual level, we know that as our personal understanding of God grows and changes, our perception of who we are as individuals and what we are capable of will also grow and change. We'll move through those kingdoms from the life happens to me, life happens by me, life happens through me. And there are those brilliant moments where life happens as me. One implication of all this is that there is an intersection and a relationship between my country and me, between we the people and you and me as individuals, between the 4th of July and Sunday. I would ask that you consider this intersection and look for what is yours to do about it. Listen for the inner guidance that comes from your personal vision and see where you are drawn, knowing that where you are drawn will change as you grow in your spiritual understanding. But there is an intersection between the world outside and my inner world, between my country and my vision of my life. So maybe you're drawn to vote or get involved in voter education or voter mobilization efforts. Maybe you might want to consider serving on the Sacramento CSL Board of Trustees or getting involved in one of the committees or activities that support the growth of our center. Maybe you're drawn to volunteer at or financially support a community nonprofit or a political candidate or a social cause. Maybe you're drawn to write a letter to the editor or speak at a community meeting. Maybe you're drawn to take classes through SAC CSL, or you can go online with any center, any CSL center, to increase your understanding of our principles and values, and let that understanding grow your faith, grow your vision about what's possible for you in your life, so that you can realize your dreams. Maybe you're drawn to get involved with your neighborhood or school or park district. As was famously said, all politics are local. So pay attention to the city or county governing councils and communicate with your elected representatives. Pray for your elected leaders. Pray for our elected leaders, not for them to change, but for you to increase your understanding and capacity to love and forgive when someone seems to act much more human than divine. Because don't we all have days where we act much more human and not an evolved one than we do as divine? Pray for the media, which tends to both oversimplify and exaggerate, thereby engendering fear and disrespect on all sides of the political, religious, and social spectrum. Pray that they report with clarity and true fairness. Whatever you choose to do, Let it come naturally from the answer of the question, what is God's highest vision for your life? And let that vision pull you into your future. Let it pull you into the truths that you know are self-evident. Let us pray. And the good news is always that we are not alone. There is a power and a presence that fills every aspect of life. It's in every molecule of air we breathe. In fact, this presence, this intelligence, this love breathes us into life, into existence, into awareness. This love is who and what I am. It is who and what you are. It lifts, visions, and supports every aspect of my life. My relationships, my physical health, my prosperity, my sense of abundance, my sense of life, my joy, my ability to be in the world as a creative partner, expressing joy and life abundantly. This is the truth of all life, of all beings. And I know this is true. And I know that I'm always in my right place at the right time. That right action is the only action happening in my life, whether I recognize it or not. There is only good happening for me and for those around me right now and always. Within this very moment, I have everything I need to live my vision, to live a life of joy, to be a contributing member of my community, however I define it, however large I conceive that to be. But I am a power for good because God and I are an unstoppable team. And so I let my vision pull me into the future. I let God's idea of itself be the highest vision for me, of me. And I placed this knowing, this intent, these words into the law of mine, knowing that it is already done, for the law can only say yes. And so with great gratitude, I give thanks. And so it is.
Yeah. others live their lives. That Muhammad, Krishna, or the Buddha are the way. Still some believe it's right to say in the name of Jesus when you pray. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Some say God's a him, and still many believe that he is a her. Does God live in our hearts, or is she somewhere out there in the universe? We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. How far will we have to go before we learn the lesson? Gandhi was a Hindu, Martin Luther King a Christian. Regardless of religion, they knew love was the mission, and it all comes down to one. Is there no God at all, or a pantheon of gods up in the sky? We can heal our broken heart if we give up the desire to be right. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and we all want the same things: health, love, prosperity, and peace. Tolerance is the seed, and the gift of your acceptance is the tree. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Whether you are red, brown, yellow, black, or white, a man with a husband or a woman with a wife, we can debate until the end of time who's wrong and who is right, or we can see ourselves as one, 'cause it all comes down to love. religions, and it all comes down to one.
Oh, and that was wonderful. And now it's our offering time, and we're offering 3 opportunities that you can donate to SAC CSL through PayPal or credit card. You go on our website, shown on the screen for you, and then you can mail a personal check to our address, also shown on the screen. And don't forget Amazon Smile, and put us in as your favorite charity, and we get a little percentage thanks to Amazon back to us. Okay, have a great day. And remain muted as we say our affirmation from our hearts, and carry it always, abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude. I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever expanded infinite good. And so it is. And here is our latest news from our practitioner, Linda Conley.
Hello, everyone. Such a beautiful 4th of July. So we have Reverend Patricia's Busy Hand and Warm Hearts. That is on Mondays, the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month. Check that out. It's where you can get to do your crafts in a community full of love and safety. And again, as Ruth had said, on August 1st, it will be going home to our center. We'll be having services in person and, of course, still on Zoom. And again, I would like to add my deep felt gratitude for those who helped on Friday move the stuff into our center. I was teaching a class that day, so I was not able to attend. So thank you. And our prayer requests, there are 2 ways to make a prayer request: via chat on your screen or via our website at www.saccsl.org.
As our gift to you this week, we have an affirmation for you to use all week. Say with me on mute, I am the spiritual and moral arc of the universe. This is a beautiful affirmation to celebrate the 4th of July and who and what we really are. And now for our benediction, followed by our closing song, and then please stay with us for fellowship. We take in this presence of the wisdom that has been presented today. We go forth in this presence with our hearts and minds awakened, with this understanding of the connection between our personal vision, the vision of the country, the vision of our spiritual center, and the vision for the world. That all of these are connected, and that we are an intricate and integral part of the working out of the divine, of the co-creation with the one, of God working with us and as us and through us. This is happening now for each and every one of us as our hearts and minds are stirred to action in the ways that are right for us as we go forth in health and safety and joy. And we celebrate this 4th of July as an abundance of peace and wondrousness and grace. In this knowing, I give thanks for answered prayer. And I release this word into the law of being that says yes and makes it so. And so it is.